Today we're going to try to create a bullet for my Valentine tone with the NUX MG-30. Many of you beautiful ladies may know I'm a big fan of the NUX MG-30, and also I'm a big fan of Bullet from a Valentine. I think they are a great band. I have to say they're my favorite well, modern metal bands, although they're not that new, but yeah, together with Megadeth I would consider them to be my favorite metal bands. And the reason for that is mostly because yeah, I think they have great songs, and also their albums, they sound kick-ass. I personally like the guitar tone of the first album a lot, also of the other albums, but in my opinion the first album, the Poison album, is that is the guitar tone which is perfect for me, for my taste. So I'm always after a tone which is similar to that guitar tone of that album. And yeah, I'm always replicating guitar tones, or I'm trying to create guitar tones which are going in that direction. And I thought maybe some of you like these guitar tones which are very saturated, so I tried to create a similar tone, at least with the NUX MG-30. And let me open the editor for you. So it's here, and for the purpose I'm using a Schecter Banshee 6 guitar with EMG pickups, because maybe Bullet from Valentine used the EMG pickups on that album. And also I created a patch with the stock IR, because I thought maybe I would share this patch like the other patches which I created before. Check out my Black Album Metallica tone with the NUX MG-30. I uploaded these patches in the Facebook group. And before I come to the patch, I will talk a little bit about what I think they're using to get that sound. As far as I know, they're playing the 6505s boosted with a Tube Screamer, EMG pickups, maybe Jackson guitars in that period when they were recording. Although I don't know that, but I think EMGs are involved. And maybe Mesa cabinets, the Mesa oversized cabinet. But I think the guitar tone on that Poison album, you can hear the characteristics of the 6505, which I personally like, but it's an amp. I own the original amp, by the way, which has lots of upper mids around the 1.6 or 2K, which can get a little bit annoying. But if you boost, especially the crunch channel with the Tube Screamer, and then afterwards you reduce the mids, you will get a very saturated high gain tone, yeah, which is perfect in my opinion. Anyway, here is the patch, and for this sound which I created, which is this, I didn't use the 6505 model, which is new in this unit, because I couldn't get a decent result with that. I think they're currently reworking that model, so I decided to stick with one of my favorite amps, the Diesel VH4 model, I think, because it has a American sounding characteristic. Doesn't have that much well, of these Marshallish highs, which of course the Marshall amps have. Although I think I could get close also with the DSR model. Anyway, so this is the effects chain, I'm starting with an overdrive tube screamer model, more or less the default settings, and that is also one key for that sound, I think. Usually people tend to set the level to max, drive to 0. But honestly, I didn't play around with it that much. It seems to work also. But if you will get a little bit more, or want to get a little bit more saturation, you can raise the drive. And then you get a little bit of this, well, it's a little bit floppy, I have to say, but well, you get this oversaturated tone, as I call it, which I think I can hear on the original. So I stayed with these settings. Save it if I change it. And very important is also the gate, which they used after the tube screamer. And that is, yeah, you have to set the decay very short so that the notes are cut off after you play them. Of course, if they have some breakdowns, someone has to disable the noise gate for them if they are playing live. Otherwise, the chords will not stay, so not sustain. But I think that is what they're doing, or at least what they did in the past. Nowadays, maybe they're playing campers, but anyway. So yeah, I set the decay rather short. If you set the sense too extreme, then you will lose a little bit of tone. At least a little bit of the attack, which can lead to less saturation. So I stuck with this setting, but it depends also on the output of your pickups. In my case, the EMG, the bridge humbucker, is mounted maybe 5 millimeters below the strings, and this seems to work. And yeah, as an amp, as I said, I use the VH4 model. I don't know how is it called here in this. Yeah, it's the VH4. Okay. I cranked the middle to get a little bit of that characteristic honk, which is still there with the 655. This sounds maybe a little bit more well-rounded, like maybe on the Fever album, their guitar tone. But yeah, the Poison, I think it has this pushing character. Also, what the 6505 has is this certain amount of presence frequencies around the 4K, I think, which is really annoying or really harsh in the ears if you crank the real amp. But I think they use quite a lot of it because it's very helpful for riffage. And here I try to get a little bit of that characteristic by raising the presence. Because this amp model seems to have it too. Also, I reduced the treble so that I don't get too much of these Marshallish highs, which are not there in this sound. So yeah, that's where I ended up with the amp. And as a cap, I used the greenback because yeah, it was the best matching result in my opinion. I tried out the other stock caps, and very important is also the microphone. Here I use the U87, and in this position where it has less highs, so as you can hear, here it's very annoying. Move it away from the cone, then it's not that annoying. And Also important is that I set a high cut here around 7.6K. Raise the level a little bit. And that's basically it for the raw tone. What I was using was a little bit of room reverb because I think I can hear some of this room reverb in the recording. And yeah, these are my settings. Without the room reverb, sounds much more direct. It's maybe better for live usage. But yeah, this is a tone which I created for recordings, so it's more or less the characteristic of the album tone. For live usage, I would reduce the highs and also the bass. As you can see here, I crank the bass a lot because I think there's a lot of bass or sub bass in the guitars. Might be even more than here in my patch. More or less maybe like that. But if you crank it that much, maybe you have to use a low cut a little bit. Yeah, maybe it's more like that. But it might be too much for some applications when you use this sound for recording. As you can see here, you can reduce it. So I didn't match the sound exactly, but I wanted to come close so that it sounds, it feels to me a little bit like that too. Also, I tried to create that tone with a little bit of another IR. This one, but it's an own hammer third-party IR. Which is a little bit more like their tone on the Venom album, I think. But to be honest, I think the one with the stock IR here reminds me a little bit more of their tone on the Poison. So thought maybe that is something which you Bullet for Valentine fans would like to have. It's very saturated, and if it's too much for you, you can reduce, of course, here the drive and the level. But I think on the album sometimes I can hear that it's a little bit oversaturated. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this patch, and otherwise please post your comments below, subscribe to my channel. Goodbye.